Hello, and welcome to a brand new day of free-to-play here on Magic the Gathering Arena. Get the dish on the latest with me, Lord Rumfish. So, I've just had a birthday. Yay me. And we've just had the Lord of the Rings release into the wilds. Now, it releases as an alchemy set. It's not standard legal. It'll be affecting, older formats. On Arena, it's going to affect Alchemy and Historic. Historic Brawl, things like that. And it's draftable, so, it's got its own limited format. And you might be wondering, as someone who loves Middle-earth, what I might have gotten for my birthday as a present. Now, I haven't bought physical cards in a while. The last time I even received physical cards as a gift, and I was kind of on a break from Magic at the time, was Throne of Eldraine. That's the last physical cards that I got, so it's been a little while. But I've got some new physical cards now, and I wanted to talk about it. So here I am on the big camera. Hi. And I'm zooming in to show you what I got for my birthday, because I wanted to talk about it. Because, got the Lord of the Rings that's released here. So what did I get for my birthday? I will show you. Yeah, that's weird. Aftermath. Epilogue boosters. What the heck? Well, there's a bit of a story to it, and I want to try to dig into the why. Okay, so what's going on here? Am I a fan of Lord of the Rings or not? Well, I am. I don't think anyone can say they are the biggest fan of Lord of the Rings. That's a rabbit hole that just goes down deeper and deeper the further you want to go. Until you're fluent in Quenya and Khazd-dûl and stuff. For the uninitiated, Khazd-dûl is Dwarven and Quenya is one of the tongues of Elven, most often spoken by the Noldor. Anyway, before we get too deep into that rabbit hole, I like Lord of the Rings. I've run multiple campaigns in Lord of the Rings as a setting using Decipher's Coda system that was printed from 2002 to 2006. So yeah, I've had 4 campaigns set in Middle-earth role-playing games. I've read the books. I've read The Hobbit multiple times. I read the trilogy once. The second time through, I got stuck somewhere in the Two Towers. Anyway, I genuinely like it. I like the movies. I like the Hobbit movies, although they got kind of progressively worse. First Hobbit movie was great. Second one was like, the third one was like, wow, what were they thinking? Why do they have these giants that look like babies and excessive gore? And I don't know. Battle of Five Armies was a mess, but I loved the IP. I've even watched The Rings of Power on Amazon, right? So, and you know what, Rings of Power, it's not as bad as some people say. It's definitely iffy. Some of its plot lines are definitely iffy, and some of the dialogue is definitely iffy. But overall, I think it's fine. Just maybe it's not as good as people hoped it would be. So that brings us to Magic. So I was prepared to be excited about this set, for sure. 100% prepared to be excited for it. Definitely was not as excited to learn that it was going to be an alchemy release. But then, I learned it was draftable. I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to get back into alchemy, but I definitely like drafting, so that's a good angle. And a funny thing happened. Um, I started putting out the limited set reviews of commons and uncommons. For one thing, they weren't very popular on YouTube. For another thing, um, I was having trouble wrapping my head around the set, trying to figure out, how it drafts, what the common themes are, how the different colors interplay with one another. Um, March of the Machine can be a devilishly deep, complex draft format. There are all kinds of crazy synergies and interplay between the different colors. If you take a 2-color deck, turn it into a 3-color deck, there's all of these interesting hinge cards that help out other synergies. The same is somewhat true here, but I was having trouble making heads or tails of it. And then we got to the actual early access event. Thank you very much, Wizards, for inviting me. I asked to be invited, but thank you for including me. I did have some fun. The first draft wasn't too bad. I had a rough go of it. I went 3 wins and 3 losses. That's okay. I could have played better. I could have done things differently in the draft, in the deck building, and in the gameplay. But overall, I wasn't too unhappy with how I did. But the next 2 drafts I did the next second one was even rougher than the first one. I went 2 wins and 3 losses. The third one, I went 4 wins and 3 losses. The videos aren't doing that well so far on YouTube, which gives me pause as to whether or not, it takes time and effort to edit these things, to put them out. And I wasn't in the best headspace when I was doing that second and third draft. I was getting frustrated. I was having trouble, trying to figure out why I wasn't seeing, the power cards in the packs, why I wasn't finding the right lanes, why the decks I put together of reasonable looking cards were just kind of falling flat. And I don't exactly know. And I don't want to throw cold water on the set because I love Lord of the Rings. And I'm sure lots of people are going to love Lord of the Rings. It's going to sell like crazy. But something about it is not quite gelling with me. And I can't quite put my finger on why. Can't quite figure it out. Maybe part of it's that it's not a standard legal set. And so I'm not as excited about it. I really love standard. There's another strange thing that I've noticed about the set in passing. It's that there are handfuls of cards in the set that are outright head and shoulders way more powerful than the other cards around them. Cards that are going to be playable into Eternal formats. I'm talking about even back to Vintage and Legacy. There are some cards that are going to see play. And also, just in terms of limited, a lot of things that are head and shoulders way above the other stuff you could be picking. And the funny thing is, they're not necessarily rares. There are some commons and uncommons that seem like they just blow some of the other stuff around them out of the water. And then a whole bunch of the set feels like relatively safe, benign filler cards that should be playable and limited, but in fact don't stand up to someone who drafted, a strong deck, got the good cards. That's my initial impression. Now, that's just, kind of an initial impression, knee-jerk response. Clearly, there's lots of nuance to learn of a new set. It's not always easy even for the pros. Like Jim Davis, he's had runs of Bronze to Mythic. Did he say Crimson Vow was one where he had a lot of trouble with it? But so even the pros don't always have an easy time learning a new format. Drafting limited is hard. having trouble understanding the set. I'm having trouble enjoying the set, um, which is really odd. You know, obviously someone who plays Magic and loves Lord of the Rings, runs D&D campaigns, not D&D, deciphers coda system, but runs tabletop role-playing games of Lord of the Rings. I should be a shoe-in to love this set, right? I should be definitely the target audience that loves this. Um, and I don't care about, the drama around like Black Aragorn and whatever. Who cares? Who cares? It's written in a different time period, and frankly, we should have some black elves and black dwarves and whatever. It's fine. I don't care. That's all fine. No, it's something mechanically. There's something mechanically about this set that about its implementation that I'm not liking. So that brings me to my birthday present again. So I asked for my birthday for a little box of epilogue boosters. I know, crazy, right? Actually, if you've watched my video where I said, let's talk about Aftermath, I go into all the ins and outs of why I think it's not the best design for a set and what some of its failings are as a set. Um, I also talk about my love that I have for bad sets. Um, and whatever nonsense, whatever freaky, you know, commander build cards are in Aftermath, for some reason, I can make heads or tails of them. I can look at them and, you know, even the really weird ones, the really off the wall ones, like Tazri and stuff, I still feel like I wrapped my head around it, got a good idea of what it does, and I'm okay with it one way or another. Um, it may just be that the set is small. It's only 50 cards, so it's not that much to process. It could be that the set is standard legal, so my brain's firing on all cylinders trying to fit it into the format and the metagame. Um, it could be a bit of contrarianism or something, where I genuinely enjoy the bad sets. I like the stinkers. I do. I like Fallen Empires. I like Homelands. I like Saviors of Kamigawa. I like the third expansion of block sets. Turns out, same is true for Aftermath. I like Aftermath. I don't really want to get into all the drama with the Pinkertons and etc. Not really want to make what I want to make my channel about. Don't know that much about the situation. Don't really want to comment on it. Just seems like a lot of nonsense that shouldn't have happened. And don't have much to add to that conversation. So here's this little art insert box topper thing that I got when I opened it up. That's kind of cool. So I guess what I wanted to say is I'm not really going to be covering Lord of the Rings. And that's really weird. My friends who know me, my friends who have played in the games that I've run, my friend Jonathan who's excited to make a Nazgul deck, and frankly, if I was in real life, sitting down with him to play Magic, I love making casual decks in real life. Just kind of play like vintage legality, and we all like it sounds. People who are tournament minded don't understand. When I tell them we play like vintage legacy legality, whatever, they're like, "Oh, I could never afford that," and I say, "No, you don't understand. I just want to be able to play my, you know, my ooze deck against my friend's cleric deck, and we both want to use cards from across Magic's history that we happen to have in our collection or that are cheap." Uh, we're not putting the power 9 in these decks. It's sort of like if you don't know, if you haven't played casually like that, where you have like a gentleman's agreement with your friends, you all know that you can't afford the pricey cards and you're not trying to stomp each other into the ground. There's no tournament to win. You just kind of want to do something fun or silly or, on theme. Then we've got our casual decks, and we've got like tiers of the casual decks. This is like the really janky one, and then it's like the kind of middling one, and then the one that was good enough to maybe see play in like block constructed format or standard. And those are usually like the grindier, nastier ones with the board sweepers and all that stuff. But I digress. If I was sitting down to play in real life paper magic, of course I would play Lord of the Rings. I would pick and choose, take some of those cards, take a bunch of old cards sitting around in my collection. I would put together some fun, janky decks. I'd probably make a theme deck that's all about Frodo taking the One Ring uh, to Mount Doom to dunk it. And I would just have an understanding with my friends that, if I get these like 12 cards in play, then you can assume that I've won the game because Frodo's made his journey. We've seen all the key pieces along the way. He throws the ring into Mount Doom, the game ends. Even though there's not a direct representation for like, you exile the One Ring and win the game. I think my friends would go along with it for the sake of flavor. Casual Magic's a totally different beast. And of course, I would play the set casually. I'd love to. In fact, I may still buy some cards for my collection. I haven't played much Paper Magic in a while, but I may pick up a little bit of Lord of the Rings. I might buy singles. Yeah, may buy one single collector booster to have my shot at the golden ticket. The one of One Ring. But in Arena, it doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't feel the same at all. Um, so I don't think I'm going to be covering the Lord of the Rings for Arena. I think I'm going to go back to what I'm good at and what I know, which is um, building standard decks. I love to. I love taking, like people call them like jank, like janky rares. I think cards are only jank up until the point that they work. And then at the point that they work, oh, they're not jank anymore. It's just a functional deck. Happens to have card X in it. Everyone else was playing cards A through G, but card X, once you find the right sequence of things, turns it on, turns out card X wins you the game. You know, at that point, it's not jank anymore. So I'm willing to play with anything, any and everything. Only the ones that are really and truly obviously bad, like, I don't know, vanilla creatures that could only maybe see play in limited or something. Those are the only ones that I wouldn't really consider for a standard deck. Everything else is on the table. Um, See, I love standard. I love building for standard. Um, I'm just gonna go back to doing that. There are so many other people on YouTube who are going to cover Lord of the Rings. I say more power to them. I'm not going to nitpick. I'm not going to badmouth it. I probably the set is fine, and I'm sure if I pick some up and play it casually, I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna love it, and it's gonna be fine. If it had been standard legal, I feel like some part of my brain would have switched on, and I would be enjoying analyzing how to build decks out of the cards for standard. But um, such is not the case. So how about you sit down with me and we're going to open a couple packs of Aftermath. Not all of them. There are 24 of these little 5-card boosters that come in this tiny little box. It's so cute. Here, let me show you the box again. Like, this is the box. These are my hands. This box is so tiny. It's so little. Uh, all right. First booster pack. Epilogue booster pack. All right. We've got Goldforged Thopteryx. Let me see if there's a good way I can hold it up to the camera. I'll figure it out. Blot out. It's a good one. This is a resurgent animist. Well, there's most of the value of the box right there. First pull. There you go. Rather be lucky than good, right? Actually, that's not true. I'd rather be good than lucky. I really would. Because my friends will tell you I'm not lucky. If you see my dice rolls are extremely mediocre. Mediocre to slightly under par. There's a shiny foil campus renovation. A Tolarian Contempt of alternate art of some variety, whatever it's called. And a Knight token. Well, obviously I can't top pulling Nissa. Nissa's kind of like Chase rare of this set. The one who's worth all the money. I'm going to open one more pack anyway, just to be sociable. Kolahan Warmonger. Markov Baron. This guy's pretty cool. New Lord for Vampire deck. Has Madness. Nahiri Forged in Fury. So, card seems cool. Seems maybe playable. Definitely like the art. A shiny copy of Animus Might. Kind of remains to be seen whether this card might find a home in Standard. The deck that wants it wants to cast it for one mana. If you're casting it for 1 mana and dealing double a Legend's power to something, that's pretty good. So, we'll see. Filter out. If you have not watched Battle Control, it's not the cleverest title I ever gave for one of my deck videos, but Battle Control uses a bunch of battles that, kill creatures, sacrifice things, wipe the board, etc., make creature tokens. Then I use Filter Out and bounce all the non-creature things back to each player's hand. And the deck is actually really good. It doesn't have that many views on YouTube. I think you should check it out. It's it's really neat. And I think this card's very powerful. And a rules insert token slash advertisement. Okay, you know what? I'm going to open 3 because that's 15 cards and 15 is what's in a booster pack of Draft. So to get the full pack opening experience of a Draft booster, I'm going to open 3 epilogues. And I don't think I'm going to open all of these packs. I think I'm actually going to keep a few of them to draft in a weird format. Obviously, an all Aftermath draft would be really, really weird and kind of broken and not very playable. But I think dropping 3 epilogue boosters to represent 1 draft booster into a funky draft format could be fun. All right. Undercity Upheaval. Not sure why they made this card. It doesn't look that great. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's powerful if you can set it up. It's just the deck building considerations are tight. All right. Campus Renovation. This one is a misprint. It's off-center. Let me see if I can show you. Do you see how far it is to one side on the card? Yeah, so I would call this a misprint, like it's off-center. Not a very significant misprint. It's probably not worth anything, but it's interesting. Urborg Scavengers, I like these guys. I think This card is definitely going to see standard play. It already has seen some. Yeah, it hasn't taken over the format or anything, but it's an eminently playable card that eats Atraxa and takes all of her abilities. You can do that proactively or reactively. Get a shiny Colahan Warmonger. I made a red deck full of dragons, and that sucker went 7 wins out of 9 games. I think this card's actually quite nice. Harnessed Snubhorn. This is one of the pieces of junk garbage of this set. It's not even that great in limited, I know, because on Arena they had a format of March of the Machine where one common card in every booster pack was replaced with an Aftermath card. Made it for a really funky draft experience. Just, mostly March of the Machine, but with a little bit more funk. The Harness Snubhorn was still not good, even in limited. Oh, this is the warrior token for Invasion of Kylum, I think it is. All right, I'm gonna stop opening cards there. I want to savor this experience. I haven't opened Magic cards in a long time, so I'm not gonna just like burst through this entire box all at once. I want to process it, let it simmer. It's really nice to pull a Nissa though. So yeah, all of that is to say, I don't know why I didn't care for the drafts of Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure why the set doesn't make sense to me in limited. Um, and I'm not sure why the videos are not doing very well on YouTube. But I'm going to go back to standard. Um, but I have no problem with the set. I love Lord of the Rings. I would love to play it casually in real life. And if something like the real life casual format that I play existed on Arena, I would play it there too. Um, Alchemy just kind of isn't it. I know Alchemy's probably changed since the last time I tried it out, but the last time I tried it out, Alchemy was completely dominated by um, infinite combo decks that were using Alchemy cards. And, well, that's when I stopped playing Alchemy. There's some new infinite combos in Standard. We'll see how that susses out. If you like my content, if you like Standard decks and such, if you like, a bit of this and that, then like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Helps out the algorithm and me. And until next time, never stop honing your critical thinking and empathy.